Hello people, I'm Ginny Metheral, I'm a 4th generation witch. When I was much younger and I first decided to come out of the broom closet, primarily to my friends may I say, I didn't really understand how I was going to tell them that I was a witch and what sort of witch I was or whether I was actually a witch. I didn't know the difference between Wicca, Pagan, hedge, forest, you name it. It was a lot and I really didn't get it. And I know that many of you feel the same. So in today's video, I want you to take a deep breath with me and let's go back to basics and find out what is paganism, where does it come from, and how do I practice? Today's video is sponsored by the rather magnificent Aura. Aura is a one-stop shop for all your mental health, stress, sleep and life coaching needs. It has literally hundreds of coaches catering to your every requirement. I use Aura all the time. I find it really useful just to help me with sleep, help me with mental health, de-stressing. That's a great one, that one actually, to really bring down those violent thoughts that I sometimes get, which you shouldn't have. I also find it convenient. It's a library of therapists in your pocket at any given time. You can speak to them in your language, in your own time. I will put my link in the description box below, and the first 500 people who sign up to Aura using my link will get this discount. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video. So let's rewind a few thousand years and to go back, because countless generations and countless people have practiced something called folk spirituality. I'm mainly going to look at Northern Europe for this, because I am based in Northern Europe and the British Isles is almost a central part of this particular culture. So that is where I'm going to focus. Paganism, the term, comes from the Latin paganus, and originally it just meant somebody from the country, a rural person. And it was a bit of a slur, really. You know, they looked down on these rural people as sort of country bumpkins. It's a bit like the word heathen, which also means literally from the heath. If they are from the heath, they're heathen, which is another word for being rural, isn't it? Now, of course, these rural folk didn't think of themselves as pagans or heathens or anything of the sort like that. They thought of themselves as normal people who went about practicing their everyday lives, worshipping their old gods and carrying on with their traditional practices. There was nothing unordinary about it. It was with the rise of Christianity that paganism was really started to be suppressed. When Christianity first came into the British Isles, they took over a lot of pagan sacred sites, such as stone circles or sacred hilltops or sacred wells, and they built their churches and their communities around these pagan sites because they had deep and inner meaning. It's the easiest way to control a nation, so to speak. They also incorporated many of the pagan theological pantheon into their own religion. And the biggest example of this that I can think of just off the top of my head is Saint Bridget. St. Bridget is the Celtic goddess Breed. Breed and Bridget have the same feast day. They have the same associations with each other. They have the same symbol, the square cross, made of reeds. Festivals such as Yule and Ostara were transformed into Christmas and Easter. And so as the centuries progressed, these traditions became normal. Paganism was suppressed. It then sort of became not just suppressed, but looked down upon. It became anti the church. It was very anti the establishment. And hence we have the rise of the witch trials. Now, witches may or may not have been pagans, but they weren't necessarily a pagan. They were criticised and hounded and, given a hard time by their communities because it went against Christian dogma. So this then becomes really the dark ages of paganism. Folk traditions went underground and practices were hidden. But then something shifted. By the mid-1800s, there was real interest growing in the Enlightenment. People became interested in mysticism and the occult. Folklore traditions became trendy again, and folklore is based on our pagan roots. The Brothers Grimm wrote their stories. Aleister Crowley, that great mystic, started writing about magic and thinking about it and creating the form of Wicca almost. Sorry, the cat has just literally gone in her claws in me. Ow, puss puss. Butter wouldn't melt in this one's mouth. And by the 1950s, Gerald Gardner published his treatise on Wicca. This was based on what he believed the ancient pagan practices were, and hence neo-paganism was born. Now, there are lots of different types of neo-paganism. They have a pantheon of gods, which just means lots of them. There's lots of gods. You can follow Norse traditions and go with Thor or Loki or those sort of Norse pantheon of gods. You can follow Celtic traditions, Breed and Lou and their... I can't pronounce this word. I would like some help, actually, please. Any Celtics out there? How do you pronounce Tuatha De Danann? Is it? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce this word. Help out, please. Required, put it in the comments below in phonetics so I can then pronounce it. Other neo-pagans practice purely in nature. Some are solitary, some are in covens or groups of pagans, or in sects like Druidism. So there is no really right or wrong way to celebrate paganism. You can do whatever you like or however it takes you. And this therefore means that there's no dogma, which is what particularly appeals to me. I don't like being told what to do by anybody. Even recipes can't tell me what to do. I have to ignore them and do my own thing. I know it's a terrible failing. I know. However, it's one of the reasons why I like witchcraft. No one tells me what to do. I mean, I tell me what to do. Sometimes I'm quite good at it too. So if you want to become a pagan, how do you do this? How do you go about this? Well, you just say, I'm a pagan, and begin your practice. Now, your practice can take many different ways. I mean, it's up to you how you choose to practice. You can worship gods, you can worship nature, you can just celebrate them and honour them. But there are sort of 7 key areas, I think, that really shows paganism off at its best. Number 1 is ritual and ceremony, whether it's lighting a candle or performing a highly complex circle magic. It doesn't matter what you do. This is part of being a pagan. You celebrate it with rituals and ceremony. Number 2, possibly should have been number 1 actually, is nature connection. Paganism is all about working with nature. You can't get away from it. You and me, we are nature, and we need to incorporate nature into our practice. Whether that is a walk in the forest or looking up and meditating with the moon, nature can be brought into your practice in so many different ways. It is literally go out there, bring it in, embrace it, and enjoy. The third thing you could look at is lunar and seasonal cycles. You don't have to track the moon and follow the path of the moon, but it's a good idea to do it once or twice just to see whether that's your thing. And celebrating seasonal festivals brings the community together. It's incredibly joyful to be celebrating, honouring this great Mother Earth of ours. Then we have the creation of altars and sacred spaces. My sacred space happens to be up where you normally see me filming in my loft. I have, put up many spells into that area in order to help me keep me calm, and I love being there. I also love being here in my garden, which I mostly love being here in my garden because it means I'm not doing anything, just fiddling with plants, trying not to kill them, failing normally. However, my sacred space is whatever I want it to be, and yours is whatever you feel like you need to do. And that could be as simple as an altar and lighting a candle to an effigy of a saint. And yes, you can incorporate Christian saints into your pagan practice. They did it the other way round after all, so, there is no real reason why you shouldn't do that. Paganism also has a connection with the divine and the spiritual. Now, this can be seen in divination techniques. So, should you want to do tarot or maybe use a crystal ball? All of these are excellent ways to really expand your pagan practice, either together or on your own, because you don't have to be with others. It is a very personal and yet a very communal way of living your life. Ancestral reverence. This is not just your own ancestors, but our communal ancestors, the ancestors of our land, our leader ancestors, the ancestors of our lands, the ancestors of our previous religions. All of these people have helped us become who we are today. And it is an important part of practice to look back at them and go, yeah, okay, that was pretty damn hot there. That was pretty darn cool, that. And give a little bit of thanks and gratitude. However, it's not something that you necessarily have to incorporate in your everyday to day, but it is something actually I do quite a lot. I do reach out and say, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Thanks." Finally, we have celebration. Paganism is all about celebration. It is all about being happy with what you have and what is around you and how beautiful this world is that we live in. I cannot separate nature from paganism in my own particular way of celebrating my witchcraft. Nature is us. We are nature, and let's enjoy it and all that it has to offer. But here's something I really want to emphasise. You don't have to do any of this. You don't have to have a label. You don't have to know everything about it immediately. You just need to explore. This is all about you, after all. It is your path and your way forward. You don't have to do anything you don't need fancy tools, you don't need fancy robes, you don't need a fancy ritual. You just need yourself. Possibly a bit of a twig for a wand, if you're following traditional witchcraft. I call myself pagan. I don't call myself Wicca. I call myself a traditional witch because that is how I was trained and I don't know any better. And so I'm going to go with that. But you can call yourself whatever you like. That's what I like about witchcraft. It's so encompassing. It just brings in everybody. Everybody's allowed to be a witch. If you'd like to learn more about this, why not go to patreon.com/Ginny Metheral and come and join me. There is plenty there for you to explore, to learn about how you might become the best witch that you are able. Otherwise, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video.